Mikey Clark, legendary producer, produced many great albums. Majority of the first 6 Joker cards were produced by Mikey Clark. Just because he produces an album, does that make it a great album? That is something that I've been thinking about. We are a week away from the brand new Ala Zul Ilu album, produced entirely by Mikey Clark.
Kevin is the couch. The door is always open and you're welcome to our house. Adam is an armchair.
Actively right now, ICP is in the studio with Mikey Clark, working on the next Joker cards. And a lot of people are excited to see it. And for quite some time, there have been a lot of people that have been saying that ICP needs Mikey Clark back, or that we need Mikey Clark back, and that he needs to produce the next Joker cards, and he needs to be the only producer that does Joker cards, and on are the different things that are said about him. And it's been something that I've thought about for quite some time. Anytime someone mentions that Mikey Clark needs to come back, or when someone gets excited for Mikey Clark to come back or to be working with ICP. And I'm somebody who genuinely, I do think that when ICP works with Mikey Clark, primarily Violent J, that there's something about Mikey Clark, or about working with Mikey Clark, that seems to really spark inspiration from him. And for the most part, everything that ICP has done with Mikey Clark, I have enjoyed myself. But there are people out there who have not enjoyed everything Mikey Clark has touched. And I don't know if a lot of people realize it or not. I took to Reddit, I took to my Facebook page, I took to my YouTube channel, and I also took to Twitter to post the question, does Mikey Clark make albums great? And I posted a picture of The Tempest, I posted a picture of Boondocks' South of Hell, and I posted a picture of Blaze Ya Dead Homies' Gang Rags. All 3 of these albums were completely produced by Mikey Clark. And a lot of people pretty well were commenting that they liked these albums, and there were some of them saying that, you know, those albums were not their best, those albums were not their favorite, they were not the best of, you know, X artist. And I'm actually somebody in that camp. I really like The Tempest. I do think it's a really great album, but I don't automatically think that working with Mikey Clark makes an album really great. You know, South of Hell is, and was for the longest time, I wouldn't say is anymore. I would actually give that rank to The Murder. But South of Hell for the longest time was my least favorite Boondocks album. Gang Rags is not my least favorite Blaze Ya Dead Homie album, but for a while it was definitely fairly low ranking, but I do really enjoy it for the most part. But I took to these platforms to really pose this question, to get a lot of people talking about Mikey Clark's production, really for the excitement of the 6th coming out, and for the brand new Gods of Evil Rise album that Ala Zul Ilu are getting ready to drop. Now, I have very high hopes for the new Zul album. I think that they will work very well with Mikey Clark. I don't think that automatically it being produced by Mikey Clark is going to make it a great album. I think that Zul being inspired by Mikey Clark's production is what's going to bring it the most dopeness. And I feel like there's a hope for the next Joker's card to also have some spark to it. And what makes me feel like that is Pug Ugly. The tracks from Pug Ugly that were produced by Mikey Clark really stand out to not only the other seeds, but just really the last few albums that ICP have done. And again, don't get me wrong, I like those albums a lot, but there was something about Pug Ugly, Abracadabra, those songs just had something to them that it feels like the rest of the albums were missing. Out of all of the responses and out of all of the comments that I have gotten, perhaps my favorite and best response actually came from Robbie from Diff Tug, who had said this. I'm going to show it here because I'm going to paraphrase like a motherfucker, but he was saying that more or less, just because Mikey Clark is doing it, like, he can lay down a great bed of music for an artist to work with, but if they're uninspired, it's not going to turn out great. And again, I'm paraphrasing because of what he said was shown here. But his response was easily the best out of everybody's because, of course, I think Robbie understood and knew what the assignment was. And that's more or less what I'm bringing forth is just because Mikey Clark is the producer doesn't automatically make it the best. Doesn't always mean it's going to turn out great. There's hopes because Mikey Clark always kills it on production, in my opinion. I think he produces really great beats. He really does a lot of experimenting, I would say, in a lot of his tracks. And the thing about Boondocks is South of Hell, like I said, for the longest time, it was like my least favorite Boondocks album. But the more that I revisit it, getting hyped for these new Mikey Clark albums that are coming out, the more that I appreciate everything he did musically with those albums. And I'm actually able, with South of Hell specifically, I'm able to narrow it down to what it was about that album that I did not like when I first listened to it back in 2010 when it dropped. And that is just simply, it was very country. There was a lot of banjos going on. There was some guitar work in there that gave it a very country feel. And for many, many years, country music it was never something that I really vibed with at all. I worked a retail job where they played country, and I worked there for 9 years. So I was subjected to country to the point now that I'm not a country music fan, but I tolerate country music better. So going back into South of Hell during some of these revisits, I've found a new appreciation for the music that Mikey Clark put together for that album. Now, the reason that I say that I feel like it's not my least favorite Boondocks album anymore is I'm a big fan of Boondocks. I think he absolutely fucking kills it. And there's different things that I feel like he did the best he could with those beats. And I'm actually really happy with how that album turned out now that I've had time to really process the sounds and everything. There's a lot of people that don't like it, and that's understandable. There's a lot of people that don't like Gang Rags, and it's understandable why their reasons are. The music, again, from some of the things that I've seen people say, being that it's not what they were expecting from Blaze. It doesn't really fit Blaze. It doesn't really work for Blaze. And I really liked Gang Rags a lot from the first time that I listened to it. Again, it was different. It wasn't gangster rap, and maybe that's what people were hoping for with Gang Rags. But it was Blaze enough for me, and what Mikey Clark did with those beats, I actually really enjoyed. I felt like there was enough there that I was able to cling to, like, oh, I like this song because of, this. So, but it's been something that's been on my mind, thinking about Mikey Clark working with the Clowns again, with Mikey Clark dropping this new album. We're working with Ala Zulilu for the new album that they're about to drop. I have very high hopes for these two albums. I think that they will be absolutely amazing. But I felt it very important to really kind of pose that question of, does Mikey Clark make an album great? Because I think people maybe forget about some of the albums he's worked on that a lot of people don't like at all. So that's what I've been thinking about, but you guys tell me down below what you guys think. Does an album automatically get extra points just because it has Mikey Clark working on it? And out of The Tempest and out of South of Hell and Gang Rags, what about those albums do you dislike, or what about those albums do you like? Make sure you tell me that down below. I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.